Okay, before we get into today's case discussion, looking to, for April, we do have one case that was received. It is a property located at 2601 North Swan Road. And the substance of this case is it's an appeal of the zoning administrator's determination regarding the total number of residents permitted to the Oxford House, which is a home for persons that are no longer using alcohol or drugs or recovering. So that's the only case we have for April. At this time, I'd like to find out from the board members if they would be available for that public hearing. Mr. Dawson, would you be able to attend that
I should
hearing?
be available.
Bonnie Paulus?
I'm very sorry, but I'm going to be out of town that day. I thought our meeting was the week before and I made my plans, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
I won't be here.
Okay. Michael Marks?
Yes.
Okay. Miranda Schubert?
Yeah, I should be able to make it.
And Irma Duran?
Yes, I could be there.
Great, thank you. All right, so we'll have a quorum for that meeting, so count on, we'll have the public hearing for April 30th, just the one case. Let's go ahead and get into today's case discussion. Today's case is C10-25-02 for our residents' new workshop at 4809 East 3rd Street, and it's R1 zoning. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to Ms. Pennington.
Okay, this property is located on East 3rd Street, east of North Swan Road. This project is for a detached accessory structure, a 320 square foot workshop on the northwest side of the property in the rear yard. The applicant's request to the board is to allow the workshop to be constructed at a height of 12.6, measured from design grade to the midpoint of the eave and ridge of the pitched roof. This exceeds the maximum height of a detached accessory structure of 12 feet. Staff has no objections to the requested variance because it allows the applicant to unload materials directly from a truck and provides extra storage. We have received 1 approval and 0 protests, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can we get the next slide? There we go, thank you. Do we have any? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's correct.
And there hasn't been any protest. There was
One approval, no protests.
outside of the notification.
Just, yeah, it's just barely outside. Oh, okay.
Should I repeat everything?
Do we have any other questions?
I don't.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we'll just go ahead and close the study session, and then we'll reconvene at 1:30 for the public hearing. Thank you.
And good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Development Review Board. No, sorry. Board of Adjustments. Thank you. I was just talking about that, so. Can we have a roll call, please?
Bruce Dawson,
Here.
Miranda Schubert,
Here.
Michael Marks,
Here.
Bonnie Paulus,
Present?
Irma Duran.
Here,
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Again, welcome to this meeting of the Board of Adjustments. This meeting is being recorded, and by joining, you are giving consent for this meeting to be recorded. An introduction of each case will be made by staff. At the conclusion of staff's presentation, the applicant or the applicant's representative will have an opportunity to speak. For the record, please tell the board your name and address and state your request. At the conclusion of the applicant's presentation, other persons wishing to speak in favor of the request may come forward and state their support. When called by the chair of the board, those wishing to speak in opposition to the applicant's request may come forward and state their protest. The chair may allow applicants the opportunity for a brief rebuttal. The chair will then close the public hearing and open up for a discussion by the board members. At the conclusion of the board's discussion, a motion will be made and if seconded, will then be voted upon. All presentations today must be made directly and solely to the board and not to staff or members of the audience. All presentations to the board must also be only on the items brought before the board. Presentation of matters unrelated to the request will not be heard. The decision of the Board of Adjustments may be appealed to Superior Court of Pima County by filing a complaint or a special action with the Pima County Superior Clerk's Office within 30 days of the board decision. Additional information on this filing process, please contact the Superior Court's Clerk's Office or an attorney after today's public hearing. If you're going to testify today, please be brief and to the point. Repetition of testimony already given by other, witnesses is not necessary. The chair may invoke a time limit if deemed necessary. Before you testify, please remember to sign in on the roster sheet on the clipboard at the podium. If you are joining us remotely, please state your name and address for the record, and testimony of the board must be given under oath. If you are going to speak or think you might be able to speak today, please stand at this time and raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. A reminder, please turn off all cell phones off or on silent mode. On silent mode, and if you are joining us remotely, please be sure to mute yourself and turn your camera off unless you are addressing the board. Mr. Castro, please call the first case.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, today's case is C-10-2502, Furrow Residence New Workshop, Jesse Furrow, 4809 East 3rd Street, R1. The applicant's property is an 11,012 square foot lot zoned R1 residential and is developed with a single-family residence. The applicant is proposing to construct a 320 square foot detached accessory structure, a workshop. The applicant is requesting the following variances. 1, allow the construction of a workshop with a height of 12.6 measured from design grade to the midpoint between the eave and ridge of the pitched roof, which exceeds the maximum height of 12 feet for a detached accessory structure. All is shown as on the submitted plan. PSD staff has no objection to the applicant's requested variances. It is the opinion of staff that there are special circumstances applicable to the property and that the requested variance would not constitute a grant of special privileges, inconsistent with the limitations upon other properties in the vicinity and zone, and is the minimum needed to afford relief and the least modification possible of those UDC provisions which are in question. To date, we have received a total of 1 written approval and 0 written protests.
Are there any questions for staff? No questions. Okay, I'm going to open the floor to the applicant to speak in favor of this request. And please state your name and address.
This on, or do I need to turn it on?
Go to the other one.
Yeah.
This one is on? Okay. Hi, my name is Jesse Furrow. My address is 4809 East Third Street, Tucson, Arizona. And what else did you need? Before I start?
No, that's
Just
all we need.
that-
Your
okay.
Name and address.
Oh, members of the board, thank you for having me here today and considering my case. Sorry? Up a little? Okay. First time speaking here. So I just have a few brief slides. I only put 2 images from my drawings, so we didn't belabor the other information. If you could go to slide 2. So my house is a house built in 1948 in the Swanway addition. And this is an aerial view of the house. On the upper left corner, you can see a small building. That's just a small tin shed that has been built to store tools. So the addition that I am proposing, or the structure that I'm proposing, will be up in that upper left corner. And that's in the backyard where the alley goes across. And then my neighbor is to the left, which would be the west. Next slide, please. This is the front of the house. So this house is wood frame construction, and it is built on, it's either slump block or CMU. It's built up on a crawl space. So it has about a 16 to 18 inch crawl space underneath the floor joists. I believe they're 2x8 floor joists. So as you can see, there's 3 steps to get up to the front door. The second picture is the rear of the house. And I put this here so that you could see the general pitch of the rear roof, which is approximately at 3.5 12. I haven't measured the pitch on the front roof, but the front roof is much steeper. So my idea in building this workshop, one is so that I have a place to be a home base to do work for the inside of the house, which the kitchen and bathroom are not in great condition. But what I am proposing is that because this is an older house and not a new house, I would like to build the workshop to have the effect aesthetically that it was, in line or built. I'm not trying to trick anybody in the future that it's an old building, but I really want to match the house and the architectural style so that there's some congruity there. Next slide, please. So that's just the site plan, and that's the corner where I'd like to build the property. As you can see, I already have a waiver from my neighbor for my 6-foot setback. Next slide, please. And here's the elevation. So there's a handful of variables that have all sort of come together that created this particular design and measurements. So in the pink area towards the bottom would be the crawl space. And the white above that is the joist. And then that sort of cream colored area is an 8x8 frame opening where I would like to have a roll-up garage door, so that when I'm building things such as cabinets, I could back my truck back in there, and the height of the floor would be roughly the height of the bed of my truck. So I can bring in sheet goods or whatever without having to go through the hassle of a lower opening. But coincidentally and not coincidentally, that's also the approximate height of having the CMU and trying to construct the unit similar to my house. So it's kind of all working together. I have 2x12 rafters in the green, and below those you can see a 4x12 header, and it's at the 3.5 12 pitch. So if I lower the pitch, two things happen. One, it no longer has the same pitch as the back of my house, but the midsection of that rafter will start to impinge on the header size that I would like to have that 8-foot roll up. So I would imagine that I would need to drop my ridge 12 inches to get the 6 inches at the center point. So we have the impingement on the header, and then we have the desire to have a crawl space, which would be for during the shop time would be to have a vacuum system that can come underneath the floor joists and come up into the floor. Generally for like building cabinets, you would have a table saw in the middle of your shop. And then it's nice to have the vacuum system that goes through the floor. I also have, in my electrical design, I have an outlet out there on the center as well, which will be brought in underneath the floor. Yeah, so that's a quick rundown of the basic ideas of how I ended up with this design and how I got to the point where that particular height turned out to be 12 foot 6 inches. I think it will be negligible as far as its view from the street. It's not going to create any dramatic effect to the neighborhood. I don't see why other houses in the area wouldn't be able to have this similar effect. That's the best I can do for now. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for the applicant?
I'm just curious, I didn't see any architect's name on the plans. Are you planning to do the development of the workshop yourself?
Yeah, these are my drawings.
Okay, so you're going to be the person who constructs it?
I'm gonna do the framing and I'm gonna subcontract the concrete and the stucco
Okay.
and the electrical.
And one other question, this house was built in 1948 and looks rather unique. Is it unique within the neighborhood, or are there other houses that were built in a similar manner in a similar point in time?
There are definitely houses that were built at a similar point in time, but the majority of them don't have the pitched roof and the crawl space that I have. Some of them do have wood floors, but they're much lower, if not touching the ground, or it's a slab on grade. So this house is somewhat unique, at least for the block, if not the neighborhood, yes.
So,
Michael?
yeah, I've got a question or two. And as far as the bottom line, I don't have a problem with the 6 inches. So I've got these questions that don't relate to the bottom line, which is
Okay.
the variance. But nonetheless, I'm curious about, first of all, I get confirmation of where this is located. Is it the northwest corner of the parcel?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as access, because you described the opening
Mhm.
for vehicular access, that access, is it not coming from Third Street? So you're driving through a gate that is just on the west side of the residence,
East side of the residence.
the east side?
Mhm.
Because I drove by the house and I thought there was openings on both the east and the west.
Yeah, the west side has a 30-inch or 3-foot regular human gate. And then the east side has a double gate that is wide enough to back a vehicle into with a trailer.
Okay, okay. So access is going to be along that east boundary through the gate,
Yeah,
and then you'll be able to drive to the northwest. And then the opening is facing eastward, the east, to the east?
yes.
Okay. Okay, well, thank you. I don't have any other questions or comments, and I really have no problem with the proposal.
Thank you for your questions and comments.
Okay. Yeah, I only have one question. I just was looking at the section here and the raised floor and all of that sort of thing. And the first thing that popped in my mind when I first saw it was, why you got to get a variance to get the height. And that really doesn't mean that much. But if you'd put it on the ground on a slab, we wouldn't be here right now. So, but,
Correct.
so, yeah, I think I understand your reasons for it, but it just was, I don't consider that really a self-imposed condition. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for him? Okay. Yeah, okay. Irma or Miranda, do you guys have any question?
I don't.
No, I don't either.
Okay, thank you. In that case, thank you very much. I'm not seeing anyone that additionally wants to speak in favor of this. So I will close that part, and if there's anyone speaking in opposition, well, I don't see anybody there either, so we'll close that. And so thank you. I think we'll just close the public hearing on this case.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm not sure that we have discussion on this item, but I'd like to make a motion to move that we grant the variance in case C-10-2502 for the detached workshop to be constructed at an increased height from 12 feet to 12 feet 6 inches as measured from design grade from the midpoint between the eave and the reach of the pitched roof as shown on the submitted plans. The evidence that was presented today shows that there are special circumstances which are not self-imposed, which are applicable to the property and support the granting of the requested variances. As set forth in the staff report, Board of Adjustment findings 1 through 7, and specifically number 3, not granting of special privileges that are inconsistent with limitations on other properties in the vicinity. Number 5, it will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other properties in the neighborhood. And number 7, it is the minimum variance that will afford relief and is the least modification possible. So I guess that's my motion.
I'll need a second for that motion.
Yeah, I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
I,
Aye.
The motion carries. Thank you. That's it. Good luck with your project.
Thank you very much.
Uh,
Time and to the planners for their work. Point in time.
You're welcome.
You need anything else from me?
Where'd you learn to draw?
Well, I have a lot of framing experience and carpenter experience, but I did take a drawings and specifications class at one point, and my mom was a landscape architect, so I might have looked over her shoulder a little bit. She gave me the drafting table.
You don't see many people drawing on paper these days.
What's up?
Don't see many people drawing on paper like that these days.
No, and the hard part was erasing it each time I needed to make a revision. So I was really hoping I wasn't going to have to go home and use my eraser tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. All right. We have any other further business?
No, we don't, Mr. Chair.
Then I will call adjournment. Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.